take photos for a minute. Just talk among yourselves. I don't have a prepared speech, so everything that comes out of my mouth will be stream of consciousness. A couple of things. First, thank you for putting this together. I feel even more honored than I was just walking in here, seeing my name on the front panel. And I realized that everything that I care about, everything I do best in life, strongly resonates with the DNA of what Stony Brook does best. There's the education part, there's the science part, there's the science education part, and so I feel quite resonant, to borrow a physics term, with your mission collectively here. But I want to back up for a minute. Rich, you introduced me earlier with a bit of my resume. I need to correct a couple of things, if I may, or adjust a couple of things. So, first of all, yes, I do have a species of vertebrate animal named after me. It's a leaping frog in India, and I have nothing to do with the frog, but the researchers had seen Cosmos and they were inspired by it, and they wanted to do something to remember me by. And what I didn't know is that there are plenty of other species that are discovered each year that include things like slime mold. I'm not named for a slime mold, it's a frog. So it could have gone really bad, but it didn't. Something you left out is that I have an asteroid named after me, but before I accepted that honor, I double-checked to make sure it's not headed towards Earth. You don't want your name on that asteroid. Asteroid Tyson strikes this afternoon. Also, you noted that I was the sexiest astrophysicist alive for People magazine. First of all, just to be clear, that was 40 pounds ago. When you get old enough, you count years by pounds, okay? 40 pounds ago. Plus, consider the category. Okay, I don't, it's hard to get big-headed about this. That issue of People magazine, the sexiest man alive beyond category was Brad Pitt. He was on the cover. I'm in a category inside the magazine. I don't know who I beat out for that designation. Stephen Hawking? I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't know. That's all I'm saying. When I encounter the public, I do it not so much because I want to, because I'd rather just stay home. Or go to the Bahamas or something. I do it as a sense of duty. I'm involved in fields that are funded by tax-based sources, NASA, the National Science Foundation, this sort of thing, the James Webb Space Telescope. These results are spread far and wide. I have a duty to alert you of not only what's behind it, but what it's discovering. And so that's what calls to me for any of these occasions. And That's another one of these roles that Stony Brook is leading the world in, especially with the Alan Alda Center, who I became fast friends with him primarily because of this relationship. We had resonant interests in training up-and-coming scientists to communicate with the public, doing something that at best is neutral to your career, but at worst subtracts from it. Because you have colleagues saying, why aren't you in the lab? Well, I'm talking to the public, because they might vote for funding that will keep your lab going. So get the hell out of my face. Okay. So, Carl Sagan was mentioned earlier. He was early out of the box among those who, in spite of what his colleagues said, he brought it to the public. And other scientists realize they'd be speaking to a member of Congress and they say, are you doing that thing that we saw Carl Sagan talk about? And say, yes. And say, well, that's interesting. Let's do more of it. Now, it's one thing to just do science to explore, because that's a fun thing to do, but when science is a fundamental dimension of the survival of our species, it becomes more important than just let's fund scientists to do research. Ultimately, you're protecting civilization itself. And I was intrigued to notice that the new climate initiative is housed on Governor's Island. Saw a beautiful photo of it earlier. And I remembered, well, wait a minute, that's the harbor. Like, isn't the Statue of Liberty near there? Yeah. Well, I did the math on this. Get ready for it. If we lose the Antarctic glaciers and the Greenland Great Glaciers, the primary land-based ice in the world, if they melt into the ocean levels will rise to the Statue of Liberty's left elbow. So the day that happens, there is no climate initiative on Governor's Island. It's completely submerged. So y'all better get to work on that, okay? Just saying. That would be embarrassing. Climate Initiative Institute flooded by climate change. Somebody's falling down on the job. I was given 7 minutes. I think I probably used them already. Just allow me to say that there's all this talk about art. I just learned at my table today, your president has an academic background in art history. My brother's an artist. And there are people who are questioning the value of art in society. Well, will you get a job? Will you do this? Will you? And I thought about that and I said, wait a minute, let's pause. Almost every reason anybody visits Europe who's never been there, it's to look at the art, the architecture, things creative people did. So, yeah, you can imagine a country with no art, but is that a country you want to live in? Oh, thank you for the one applause right here for that. Thank you. No, too late for you. She's the one that applauded. Thank you for that. But one thing we know is certain is that the STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and math, are necessary for the survival of our civilization. And let me say that more strongly. Not only do you need some base level of STEM literacy in the country, you need STEM wisdom so that the future generations will be proud of the decisions we've made in this generation rather than embarrassed by them. So for those reasons, we need to become better shepherds of this awesome power of science that we wield. And everything I see and read about the present and future of Stony Brook is precisely aligned with that vision. So you refer to it as a flagship because the governor says so. It may not be the flagship, it may be not the flagship university of the state. Depending on what comes out of that money, the half a billion, did I, right? This new Carl Sagan, $500 million. Stony Brook should not have its sights on leading the state. It should have its sights on leading the world because it has the resources. It has the resources, it has the leadership, and above all else, it has the wisdom. Thank you all for this. And thank you.